This right here is one of the best iron farms in Minecraft, giving you up to 2,000 iron ingots per hour. And the best thing? It's very easy to build. You don't need a zombie, you don't need a name tag, and you also don't need any redstone. Just basic blocks, so really every one of you can build that in your own survival world. Let me show you how it works. Before we get into the build itself, first of all, I want to talk about how spawning iron golems in Minecraft even works, because in most iron farm videos, that point is never really discussed. Now, in Minecraft, an iron golem can be spawned in one of two situations. On the one hand, if there are 3 villagers who are currently panicking because they see a hostile mob, like a zombie, then that can spawn an iron golem. And on the other hand, it's also possible to spawn an iron golem if not 3, but 5 villagers are standing together, not panicking, but just normally gossiping. In both of these situations, an iron golem can be spawned. Most other iron farm guides usually go with the zombie approach, and that is perfectly fine and viable, but I personally think it's not that easy to build in survival mode because you need to catch the zombie and all, which is why in this video today, we're gonna go with the gossiping method where we don't need any zombie at all. Up next, when our 5 villagers are gossiping, they can spawn an iron golem every 30 seconds. However, and this is the important part, that 30-second cooldown only starts going down when the iron golem is actually gone. So in today's farm, we're gonna take out the golem very quickly to have higher efficiency. And then lastly, at any time, we need to make sure that there is no iron golem in a 16 by 16 box around our villagers, because if there is, that will also prevent them from spawning new golems. Now, technically it's also important that the villager sleeps every 20 minutes, but for this farm today, it's actually not that big of an issue, so we don't need to talk further about that. And as always, if you could leave a quick like for the video, that'll be super duper nice, because it always helps me big time with the YouTube algorithm, especially for smaller channels like mine. But now, let's get into the build itself. First of all, this right here is the material list of what you're gonna need. I personally decided to go with a lot of glass blocks so you can see what's going on, but for your personal farm, you can replace the glass blocks with literally anything else. Now, first of all, when it comes to placing down the farm, we gotta make sure to keep quite some distance from other villagers, villages, or beds, or literally anything that could mess with our spawn rates. It should at least be 25 blocks away from any other village, but ideally, I would even stay 100 blocks away. Once you've found your spot, what you want to do is mark a 10 by 4 blocks plot of land on the ground. I personally do it with a shovel here so that we can see it better in the video, but you in your own world don't really have to do it. Only important thing is that at the end, we have an 8 by 2 plot of land with grass blocks in the middle. Now, with this farm, you don't need to worry about what's going on the ground or if there are any caves around, because it will end up being high enough in the air so that none of that matters. The first step is to place a double chest in the middle at one end like this. This is where our loot is gonna end up being. And then on top of that chest, put 4 hoppers that are all pointing downwards into it. Next, what you want to do is place a double row of hoppers that are all pointing into those hoppers that are leading into the chest, so that at the end, every grass block of our field has 1 hopper over it. Once the hoppers are down, place down a ring of stones around the top of the hoppers so that the ring of stones is right over the border that we drew with our shovel. If you did it correctly, then you should have a 2 by 8 hopper field within the stone border. Up next, what you want to do is place down campfires on each and every one of those 16 hoppers. Those campfires will be used to deal additional damage to the iron golems later on, so that they die faster, giving the farm more efficiency. I personally here use soul campfires, the ones with the blue flame, because their flame burns hotter and deals more damage. However, if you want to build this farm without having to go to the nether, then it's also perfectly okay to just use normal campfires instead. And just in case you're building this in survival, you can also just switch off the campfires for now so it's easier to work on top of them without taking damage yourself. Now, once you're done with the campfires, what you want to do is, on top of the stone ring around our hoppers, you want to build a 3-block high wall of glass blocks. I'm using glass blocks here so you can easier see what's going on with the farm. However, if you wanted to, you can use literally any other block as long as it doesn't burn. The only important thing here is that at the 2 ends of this farm, you actually don't want to use glass blocks, but instead glass panes. This is very important because otherwise the iron golems might get stuck later. Once the glass blocks are built, go inside of the farm and place down signs on both sides over the campfires. And once those signs are placed, bring out some lava buckets and place down the lava on top of the signs. The signs now make it so that the lava can't drop down on top of the campfire, so that later, when the iron golems will drop into it, they will take damage from the lava as well as from the campfires at the same time. But alright, now that our fire pit, so to speak, is done, the next step would be to build two little platforms, 3 by 10 blocks, on top of both long sides of our glass blocks. And then once that's done, build a 2-block high wall of glass panes all around the whole thing. The farm should now look something like this, with a long 2 by 8 hole in the middle, into which we're later gonna drop the iron golems. For now though, place some temporary blocks, for example dirt, in the middle over the fire pit, because what we want to do now is place down fence gates on top of these temporary blocks. Now, important note here. In the video, I'm using warped fence gates out of nether material. The reason for that is that they can't burn. However, also here, if you don't want to go into the nether to get that material, you can also build this farm with normal wood fence gates, but in that case, this entire platform that we build on top needs to be 1 block higher to make sure that these gates are far enough above the fire so that they don't start burning. But yeah, once you're done placing down all the fence gates, delete the temporary blocks below them, we don't need them anymore, and then we want to put down water at the end of both of these little platforms. Finally, open the fence gates, which will then make it that whatever drops into the water flow will carry it to the middle of the fire pit, and because the fence gates are open, they block the water from flowing into the lava, but whatever is flowing down will just pass right through them. This is how we're later going to make the iron golems flow right into the middle of the fire pit. And the best thing about this is, because the waterway is only 2 blocks short, they will drop into the fire much faster than with most other farm designs, and therefore more iron golem spawns per hour. Now, once the entire fire pit mechanism is done, the only thing we have to add now is one little quote-unquote containment cell for your villagers. To do that, just place a little 3 by 8 platform on one side of the farm like this. Inside of it, we now need 5 beds for the 5 villagers that will end up being inside. However, I decided to put 6 beds in to cover all the ground, which makes sure that no iron golems will accidentally spawn inside here. And then once the beds are placed, just build a wall around the whole thing that is 3 blocks high, but for now keep one little opening because we need to get the villagers inside after all. Make sure to also place some torches so that we don't have accidental monster incidents inside of here, and then at the end make a roof of slabs on top of it. It's very important that you use slabs here and not normal blocks, because slabs are spawn-proof, which means the villagers can't spawn an iron golem on top of this roof. And then the last thing would be to build a little staircase from the opening door of this containment cell down to the ground level so that the villagers can actually get inside. And the way we do this is actually very darn easy. Because there are beds inside there already, once it gets dark, the villagers will automatically go up the stairs and find their beds. Once they're in, you can just close the whole thing up, and that's it. Now, what will happen is, during daytime, the villagers will start gossiping, which spawns an iron golem every 30 seconds. Because the farm is high enough above the ground and there is no other valid spawn block, the iron golems are forced to spawn on the water blocks of our farm, and then the water will almost instantly push them down into the middle of the fire pit, where they will take double damage, both from the lava as well as the campfires, which will take them out as fast as humanly possible. The loot that they drop then will be picked up by one of the many hoppers that we place down there and be pushed into our loot chest that we place at the very beginning. Now, this would technically already be the fully functional farm, and you can use it right off the bat. The way it is right now, it can give you up to 480 iron ingots per hour, which is quite respectable. However, as I said in the intro, we can get up to 4 times of that, and I also quickly want to show you how you would expand the farm if you want to achieve that. First of all, what we want to do is delete the loot chest at the end for now and create a 24 by 24 space where we're essentially going to do nothing at all. This space is only there to keep enough distance to the other parts of the farm so that the villagers will be far enough away from one another that they don't interfere with each other's spawn routines. Also here, you don't need to draw this 24 by 24 square on the ground, but I think it makes it very easy for visualization. And then all you gotta do is place the same farm that we just built on all 4 sides of this square, put a loot chest in the very middle, and then make all the hoppers from all 4 sides of the farm connect into the loot chest in the middle. This way now, you have 4 times the output of the initial farm, which should give you between 1,500 and maybe even 2,000 iron ingots per hour. Much fun with that. And now, check out my easy villager breeder guide right here to get all the villagers that you will need for this iron farm. See you next time, and until then, craft well.